Hey, yep. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Twitch Johnson. So grab a substance or your drinks or stay sober minded, if you will. And with that being said, let's start the show. But if you're feeling my vibe, like, share, and subscribe. You can catch me on all handles that will be provided down in the description below. And before we get into our beautiful soul sister in the building with me, we got the current events that nobody asked for. Today's current events is geared towards reintroducing a content creator and an actor. Her name is Marlene, the actress, and she has been hitting the scenes again. She's a beautiful sister. Like, she's been hitting the scenes. She's been doing the acting. She's been doing content. She's actually did a show on a platform called Dr. O After Dark, and she's another sister to reckon with. She actually is a professional, a practitioner inside of the human profession. She is a psychiatrist. Yes, that means she's picking that mind. So a lot of her audience, they're talking about trauma, trauma informed behavior science, mental health in itself. They're talking about depression, anxieties, like childhood traumas, past traumas, DV, you name it. She's channeling in on that energy. It's a beautiful show. It has a different spin to it. Like, what she does, she sit with her audience and they just shoot the gift with some wine, more like intimate setting, grown and sexy, keep it cute. But they're talking about things that's like stimulating for the mind, and it's to uplift the culture. So if you want to check that, that's Dr. O After Dark and the sister Marlene. We've had conversation. She's in the works again up here too. So make sure that you check that out. Her YouTube is booming right now, and so is her social media. Not to take off of who we have here, because we have another sister. We've been showing a gift, getting our preparation for this interview. So we've been waiting for this to happen, and I'm happy we finally here. So without further ado,
All right, all right. Hello there. My name is Keema. I am the Queen of Possibilities. I am from the concrete jungle, Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Yes, I'm representing for New York. And just a little bit about me, I'm known as the girl who didn't like the cards that life dealt me. So therefore, I reshuffled my deck and I decided that it was time for me to live life based off of my possibilities and not life probabilities. So that's
Mm,
just a little bit
mm.
about me before we get all into the juiciness.
Okay, yeah. And but like, yeah. Before we get into that, let's do the pour out or pour up. So who you pouring out for or who you pouring up for?
I am definitely always gonna pour out for my little brother. Shout out to you, Cash. I love you. It's been one heck of a year, but you made me stronger, so I'm pouring out for you. And I'm gonna pour out for my daddy too.
Pour out for Pops and bro.
Yes,
All
yes.
right, let's do this. Let's do this. I got it for y'all.
Ah,
Here we go.
I
Here we
love it,
go.
Twist.
Yes. It's water today, but it's holiday season too. So let's give a shout out to everybody out there in the
That's
holidays. I
right.
know that can be stressful in itself for some of us who don't have our loved ones. Everyone deserves to have someone for the holidays. So if you know someone out there who might just be going through like those sad times or depression out there, reach out to them. Give them some food, give them a few dollars. You see somebody on the floor, just give them some positive affirmations or something.
Yeah,
Holiday stuff. You know how we do. All right.
that's right.
Kayla, you ready?
And the pour
All
up,
right.
I want to pour you up.
You want to pour me up?
I do.
Oh, okay. Let's pour me up.
I want
Let's
to pour
go.
you up because you're doing so much. And a lot of the times we feel like, it's what I do, it's what I do, but it's who you be. Who you be is
Mm-hmm.
so important, so amazing. So I just want to shine light on you because you're doing so much for so much dynamic people. So
Thank you.
I just got to remind you that you're the dynamic person in the room too. So I want to pour you
Thank you. See?
up.
I'm pouring me up, man. I
That's
wasn't even
right.
thinking
Pour
about it.
you
Close the water.
up.
Pour me up. You gonna pour twist up. Here we go. All right. Yes, pour me up. I appreciate that. Um, So we're gonna jump into it. So let's talk about it. Our theme today is stepping into your best self. Usually I'm coming up with the themes, or we're just freelancing of how it's gonna go. But you picked this specifically, and I love it. I jotted down some questions of how we're gonna formulate it. We're just gonna shoot the shit in front of everybody.
I love
So
it.
stepping into your best self. What made you use that title, and what does that mean to you?
I decided that I wanted to go with this title because it's forward moving conversation. It's where I am in the season. It's where I intend to be for the remaining of my seasons. And I
Hmm.
just feel like we're going into 2025. And we have this tendency as people to say, well, new year, new me. New year, new me. But we're whole and complete. Who you are right now is whole and complete. You don't need anything else. You don't have to be anything else. So
Right,
stepping into your best self means to me to recognize that you got it in you. Like
right.
I could just think of countless times how many times I played the game of double dutch. It was like waiting for the right time, saying I'll do this when I get the right amount of money or I'll do this
Hmm.
when I get the right contacts. But why not do it right now? Why not do it
Right now.
scared, do it unprepared and do it again? So that's what it means by stepping into your best self, realizing that there's a part of you, a version of you that you didn't even meet yet because we're so busy making those sexy excuses. So I picked
Mm,
that because we're going into 2025 and I want 2025 and beyond to be everybody's great season. I don't want anybody to have that feeling like, oh, 2024 was bad, 2025 is bad. No, I want you to look at 2024 for the lessons that it gave you so that you can be equipped, so you can be
mm-hmm.
activated, not just motivated, but activated to step into something and someone that you didn't even know was resident in you.
Mm. See, I love that concept because yes, New Year's is coming. I'm gonna make sure this come out before New Year's so y'all can understand and y'all could step into your best self. Traditionally in like cultures, not just like when I say cultures, I'm not talking races. I'm talking about communities and like principles and morals inside of households. Some people stepping into the new year, they have this superstition of not like stepping in with any money in your pocket. So for us poverty people, our elders would make us at least have $1 inside of our pocket. Or whatever.
Well,
If we going more direct into black, the collard
yep.
greens gotta be on the pot. You know what I'm saying? It's like gotta be on the stove. There's many superstitions out there, but taking it like culturally in is that like the mindset stepping into your best self is to make sure you reflect. That's what I'm thinking. Like I loved how you put that analysis together. And like yeah, it just made me think what we're talking about is like stepping into my best self. What would that mean to me when I'm feeling like maybe, last year was my best self, but I feel like you can never stop growing. The things that happen this year, you want to look for an excuse positively of what you can do better next go round. Every year, every day is a second chance to be better. And I love that. But what if people that are feeling like, well, I'm living my best life. This is I'm here right now. I'm getting to the bag. My kids is good. I'm good. My career path is good. I got a great relationship. What if they feel like they already reached their highest potential?
Well, anything that's good can always be better. So you can be at this amazing level, but there's still more. See, we're on this journey. We're on a journey called
Mm-hmm.
life. We're not on a destination. And a lot of the times I know I'm guilty of it. I found myself feeling like I arrived somewhere. Like, yeah, you
Ooh,
made the money. Yeah, you got the career. Yeah, you got the recognition, but there's always still more. There's always
right,
another level of you. And the biggest trap is looking at the bio, looking at the
right.
achievements, looking at the celebrations, and feeling like, oh, I don't got nothing else to do. Because you get stuck, you get complacent, you get comfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
your conviction and your convenience, they don't live on the same block.
Right.
They
That is
don't even share the same zip code. So the minute that we feel like we've arrived, I'm here, I'm set, is when we really got the most work that we really got to do. But it's hard for us to see that because we're in this society that puts material things to our achievements, that place
mm-hmm.
accolades on
Mm.
how we show up. So it's like if you got the car, you feel like you've arrived.
Facts. 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 I wanna highlight that because it's something that when I have our descent on our complexion, that seems to be the direction of what the morale is. Material. Like we are known to prey on materialistic things. Like I know that we love to dress. You know, we love style. We love jewelry. It's a part of our culture. It's, in our ancestry, going to our roots back to Africa. Even though none of us been there, we still have that genetics of jewelry and like tattoos, and fashion is a part of the culture. And I think a lot of people get that misconstrued. But there's the other part to where, I don't want to dig too deep, but if you go back into our slavery roots, we didn't have much. And a lot of us grew up in poverty, so when we do have the chance to compensate ourselves and get a thing or two, sometimes we overdo it, but we love to look good. From the elders all the way down to the down. So I wouldn't look at it as like and no, you didn't say anything. Like I'm talking in general because I love when we talk about things like that. It's like I wouldn't look at it for the people that's on the outside that don't understand as, oh, we just praise material things. Like, no, it's not us praising it, it's embracing the things that we weren't able to get. um
Love that
as
perspective.
culture, yeah, as culture, like, just bring it in. Like, let me, you could speak for us too. How do you educate people who might look at it and say that, all right, you guys are, you know like, so into your material stuff, like you don't care about the things that's like supposed to be like cherished, like credit cards and houses and um stocks and bonds.
Yeah.
I think we getting there, but overall as a people, that's not the things that we put our energy in. So what do you have to say to people and educate them on that?
I think this is a really good question because I'm kind of one of those people that's not too attached to the material because I
Love
was
it.
at one point and I lost so much people. Like if
Mm,
anybody there's this question that people ask, like, what would you say to your younger self, or what would you want somebody to say to your younger self? And it has
yes.
nothing to do with money. It's always to spend time with people. So as I've gotten
Mm,
older and deeper into business, I'm making 8 years this April coming up. So I've learned so much. I've learned that these things can come, they can go. So the
yes.
attachment that many of us have to the material, the education that I would say to some people that don't understand is, listen, some of us, we didn't grow up with it. And
Yeah.
it does sometimes have to do with the lack, because when you didn't
Hmm.
grow up with something, you don't have a sense of ownership. So
Hmm.
a lot of our people are still fighting for ownership in certain ways, in certain light. So I got a funny story with materialism.
Bring
Even
it.
though I said, like, I'm not into it. Even now, I may meet somebody who's 10 steps, 20 steps ahead of me, and I touch their items. Like I went to a
Mm,
friend of mine, she's an author and I'm learning from her. And I sat on her couch. She has a nice couch and I touched the couch. I touched the coffee table because I want
mm-hmm.
to be in close proximity with these things. I've watched people on TV that had the things that I wanted. So I learned to not be attached to the material, but the experience and the feeling that it could bring. So
Mm,
versus me wanting a new car, I had to get clear. Well, Keema, I don't think you want to drive. I don't want to drive in New York, so I want a driver. That's the experience that I have, and I know that money is a tool to get me closer to those experiences. So
yes.
I just say get a feeling for what you want, because the feeling isn't wrong. It's the
Mm-hmm.
attachment to the things that can come and go. But when you have that feeling that you want a beautiful home, you want a beautiful home that feels like love, that feels like joy, that you can cook for your family, that you can invite family and friends to laugh. That's a different energy than just wanting a 12-bedroom home, 6 bathroom, because you never had it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you speak on the love that you share, the love that you want to experience, all of those things, that makes it less about the material and more about the feeling, which is what the
Mm-hmm.
universe, the law of attraction, law of manifestation, all of these things, that's what it responds to. Not necessarily the thought, but the feeling.
Right. Like, I agree with you. The feeling versus like the just like the external part of like the social media or what it looks like, the feelings is always the important because you gotta walk this walk by yourself. Like, yeah, we could portray as that like this is for everyone, but it's for the inner self at the end of the day. Like even with content, like it's the saying of like in that industry that like we are in is that like it's not for you. I had to learn that too. It's for the people because you putting out to give some information to someone, but it is still for you too, because in order for you to give someone information or have them gravitate to what you're saying, you have to have something to say,
Yes.
even if it's nothing to say. And I know that like to a lot of people that might not make sense, but I had to understand that and decode it more is that like everyone has a voice, but it's how you formulate the science of using your voice, articulate how the art of conversation and what you want people to view you as. So if you want to do information about like how to uplift, whether it's your community or your culture, you got to educate yourself on your culture or your community so you could get up here and you can start giving people the information of what it's like to live in those areas or in those statistics and those environments. Like if you want to be a person that's doing hair content, you got to study some hair a little bit. Might have a certification, get it done.
And
I
you
know
know
for a
what,
lot of
Chris?
us, we
I
freelanced
want
it.
to add something to it because a lot
Yeah.
of people are getting so stuck in the studying phase. We got to study
Mhm.
it, but we got to live it. We got to experience it. See, I have a
Mhm.
story, I have a voice because of the things that I've grown through. I didn't allow it to keep me down. See, that's the whole that's the whole premise of being a speaker and really just allowing yourself to use your voice because like you
Mhm.
said, the things that we share isn't for us, but in a sense it is because I have this story, I have this talent, I have this skill and I can't hold it on. I can't hold
Right.
it on to me. I have to share it. But in order for me to share it, I have to see myself doing it. I have to see that I'm worthy of doing it. I have to believe it. And a lot of us haven't gotten to that point. So I want to share
Mhm.
something because I feel like somebody came for this.
Yes.
It's gonna be three levels to it. It starts
Mhm.
off with the I'm gonna show you. And that's
Okay.
like the people that doubt us. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what I have in me. I'm going to show you this talent that I have. I'm going to show you this skill that I'm ready to share with the world. I'm going to show you.
Mhm.
And that I'm going to show you translate to I'm going to show me. See, I'm showing me what I didn't know was possible. I'm showing me what's true. I'm showing me what's there on the other side of where I am. I'm showing me. And then
Mhm.
that translate to I'm showing them.
Mm.
See,
You
showing
better
them
go.
is not in the sense of, yeah, I told you. See, I told you before, I was showing you. Now I'm showing them. No, no, no. That's a different energy. Showing them is like, yeah, it's possible for me. So it's possible for you. If I can get up,
Mhm.
you can get up. I got this story. You got this story. You got it in you. I got it in me. And together we can. That's what showing them is. So we want to make sure that we have a little bit of all of that. Because in
Mhm.
each level, each part of the journey, you're going to be showing someone because there's
Right.
someone that don't believe in you because they don't see your vision because God didn't give your vision to them. They gave your vision to you. You got
Right.
your vision. So it's up to you to nurture it, to feed it, to do the things that you wouldn't even done. And when you do that,
Mhm.
you're showing you like, oh my God, I'm really good at this. I really
Mhm.
do have a message. I am valuable because nobody's going to see it until you believe it for yourself.
And that is so true because I think a lot of us get stuck in the idea of trying to prove someone wrong, trying to show someone. But the other part of it is that, like, yes, you have to show yourself first because, okay, aha, you won. You showed that person you're good at this. You showed this person, yeah, like, see, I don't have to be this way. Like, let's take for example, if you're a person that suffered from drug addiction, finally you kicked it, right? Now you showed people that you can stay off the drug, but have you shown anyone you can actually stay off it indefinitely? But then the other part of it is the trauma behind what you've done. So now you have to show them that, not only can you stay off of drugs or alcohol, but you also have to show them that you can be a productive member in society. You can be a reliable family member. You can take accountability. You can own up to the things that you've done different, and those are hard. And that's just many. That's just one of the many areas of trying to show someone differently. But the thing is, yes, like showing them is also showing yourself, but make sure you show yourself first, because sometimes trying to show someone else, you might get the clap, but then there's also to where they might not believe you or they might not receive it. And then now you're discouraged. So it's like if you show yourself, then you'll be able to show others. And I love that.
Yeah.
Um, stepping into your better self. We keep it on it. When you stepping into your better self, sometimes you gotta let go of the older things. So when you're stepping into your supremacy of yourself, what are some things that you feel like you have to let go of to get there?
Whew. There's some things that you gotta let go. There's some people that you gotta let go. See, I can only speak from my experience, and I know everybody knows what it looks like to step into their best self because we're not the same person that we was last year. And we're not the
Yes.
same person that we was years ago. We've grown. We've changed. Even if it's 1%, we're always stepping into a better version of ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to be willing to let go of that pain, that shame, that blame, that guilt. You got to let those things go. All of those limiting beliefs, all of those negative emotions, you're going to have to be willing to let it go. Now, before you let it go, you got to face it. You got to be willing to look at it and think it. You say, thank you, blame. Thank you, shame. Thank you for how far you've gotten me because it got you here. But it's not going to be able to get you to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you
Mm-hmm.
want is amazing. What you want is there for you. It's available for you. It's waiting for you to grab hold of it. But the problem is, so many of us are shackled down to the things that hold us down. We're shackled down to the past. We're shackled down to the things that people said about us. We're shackled down to the things that we felt about ourselves. See, we talk about the things that other people say about us, but we forget that we could be our worst critic. So
That
there's
part.
some of the things that we've said about ourselves for years that have momentum that we're going to have to be willing to dismantle it. And it's not one and
Mm-hmm.
done. It doesn't just happen what you're saying, okay, I want to change my life, and tomorrow you wake up as a new life. No, you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to do what I like to say, your own crunches. See, I can
Mm-hmm.
watch you show up, Twist. I can watch you have your podcast, and I can say, I want that. But what am I doing that's going to get me to that level? See, I got to let go of just saying, I want that and get into action.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I
action,
deal with execution. I
yeah,
say that all the time.
yeah, because action is the prescription to success. It's the
Mm-hmm.
antidote to despair, but it's also the prescription to your success. So
Medicine.
if you want to get to the next level, you're going to have to let go of that old version of you. See, it can't come with you.
Mm-hmm.
And also some of those people, see, we get so caught up, twisted, wanting to grab people and grab their hand, hold them, and walk with them on our journey. But that door of success is only built and made for you to walk through.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to grab hold of everybody else, and that slows us down. They can't fit with us. You got to be
Absolutely.
willing to go through that door, and then when you go through that door, you go back and then you reach out, and then you can say, come on, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Now I
Right.
can pull you in. I've done the
Mm-hmm.
work. I've nurtured me. I've let go of the things that was holding me down. That's how you do it. But we try to get to all of these places with the sexy
Mm-hmm.
excuses, and it has no room. So you got to let go of that old version of yourself. You got to let go of some of the people that's holding you down, those limiting beliefs. What I said to myself, see, I stepped into my best self 2018 because that was the time I lost my home. I've moved back home because I was like, my family need me. I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew my family needed me. And I was doing my
Mm-hmm.
makeup, getting ready to go to work. And I heard my mother screaming, no, I have children with special needs. I have small, younger ones. I got to take off the bus. Just give me an option. What can I do? And I open the door. I'm like, what's going on? And I see the marshal illegally changing the locks to my door. We had to go.
Mm-hmm.
We had to get out right then and there. So I went through months months angry, angry, frustrated, blaming everybody for where I was. And then I said, enough is enough. I got to be willing to step into the next version of me. I got to be willing to touch me. I got to be willing to, because when I sat on the hotel bed, I was in the Atlantic Motor Inn, and I sat on that bed. The sheets were so stiff. And my suitcase was half unpacked. And my reality was so uncomfortable. And I just remember looking at my youngest siblings. I remember looking at my mother. I remember feeling like I couldn't do anything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
working and I don't know how to get them a house. I'm working and I don't know how to get them the things that they need. I felt so useless. So I had to be willing to say, every version of me. I looked in that mirror and I said, every version of me that's here right now gotta die. I'm willing to die in this version to give birth to who I'm meant to be. And I meant that. I meant that.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time from 2018 to now, I've lost so many people. I've lost so many things. I lost pieces of me, but I found a better version of me. So you're going to have to be willing to die. That old part of you has to die. It cannot be in existence. It cannot be willing. Like you see how some parts of us haunt us. It can't even be a part that haunts you. It has to be
Right.
gone. You have to be
Right.
willing to put yourself at the front of your own line
Mm-hmm.
because you serve better
Mm-hmm.
that way.
Right. Like I've spoken about that like a few times, and it's like hostage too. Like first part of it, like just touching on what you said, is that like it comes to that turning point. Everyone has that bottom that kind of gives them that rage of energy that they needed to get to that other side. I call that naked vulnerability. That's the
I like
that's the
that.
worst of the worst. Yes, and like it's just my own definition. You can't find it in the Webster dictionary, but um naked vulnerability is like, imagine being exposed in your birthday suit in front of people you don't want to see you like that. That's how it feels when you get to that part of humiliation, the part of shame. Like there's no turning back on that. But that shame and that um exposing of like vulnerability, what it does, it opens up something in you that is like, oh yeah, this will never happen again. Or I'm gonna put my best foot forward to make sure this don't happen again. And you said a very interesting point about people and not hold, like you have to let go of people who are not willing to let you get into what you need to. Like people hold you hostage, and you know, by nature we don't do it purposely, but people hold you hostage of who you used to be. People forget that like every few years people change. The personality won't change, but there is growth.
Yeah,
So like what statistically, like when I was doing some research, a part of like a psychology class, every 5 years people change. Every 5 years. Every 5 years. And this is why like it's closely like with relationships and even friendships, that like every 5 years there's supposed to be a growth of where you were. This is why sometimes like even in like the decade part, like for example, some of us had that birthday mark to where it's like, you know, then you got 10, then you got 16, you got 17, 18, 21, 25, 30. You know what I'm saying? Like these are marks that's in life too. And in relationships, people like, you know, they weren't the same person that I met, because you got to continue to figure out ways to fall in love. And where I'm wrapping back into is that like if someone did something 10 years ago, let's just say they were on crack, they did coke, they were alcoholics, or you know they were abusive. This is I'm gonna take it there. They
okay.
could be a abuser. 10 years later, that person, you know, has given their life to God. They're no longer abusing substance. They've changed, made careers. Like let's talk in general. We're not gonna put it on anyone directly. We're gonna paint it general because this is something we all go through.
Yeah,
Because of the because of the acts and the behaviors that someone's done, the people who were victimized and witnessed this, they can't let go. Like, you can't get away that easy. Like, you've done a lot. You put turmoil you here. They have traumas to where is that like it's a dent in the wall because you came in here belligerent, and this is a reminder.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably painted over it, got it done, but that scar that no one else could see, they can.
yeah,
But also, like you said, is to where you have to let go of that. Forgive yourself. If we take it into the religious part, this is where a lot of us we like to like utilize the good book, but we're being hypocrites because it does say that you have to forgive. You have to forgive even the person that you wish you don't. Do like people who don't know is that like it does say I'm not I can't do it verbatim. I'm just going to paraphrase when it comes to biblical stuff and religion. It does say that you have to forgive the unforgivable. And that means that even it could be like a child molester, it could be a murderer, it could be someone who did you to the highest of high of wrongs, whatever you would think that is.
yeah,
And you got to be able to forgive them.
yeah.
That's tough.
Very.
And but now, yeah, now imagine you talking about forgiving someone who might have suffered from drug addiction, and they've embarrassed you in school, or they didn't show up the way they were supposed to show up, and now that's like kind of like messing with you in your adulthood because all this stuff happened as a child, but now they're a great person as an adult. They're doing so well for themselves, and you find yourself enraged. Like, damn, like here I am with this trauma, and now they're doing so well. You want to confront them as the person who's being confronted. You also, if you are the person that did the wrongdoing, you can't spend a decade trying to make up for lost time
Yeah.
because that decade of trying to make up for that is going to kill you. It's going to kill you. What you want to do is you want to be able to take accountability, really acknowledge. Don't be abstinent about what people are saying because people are going to come for you. You done a lot,
Yeah.
but I'm saying don't spend that decade because you spend decades of doing harm. You want to spend that decade of doing what you could do the best, and that's like not letting people hold you hostage. People who are going to see the change, they will gravitate to it, and they will give you, if they really love you and sincerely want you to win, give you the open door and the outlet to make that change. But you also got to be okay with loving from a distance.
Yeah.
That hurts the most. But when people love you from a distance, it's because you've done so much they can't love you close.
I agree.
But when that opportunity comes, you want to seize it. Let them know, like, hey, I apologize for what I've done, and I know that apologies might not even be it for what's going on. But you know what? Like, I just wanted to let you know for you, I'm freeing you, and I'm also freeing me of the things that we've caused with the damage of each other. That's very, very powerful. But as people, we don't know how to do that. Like I still have to learn how to do it. There's people that done me wrong. I've wronged people, and I'm learning to free it to where it's like, yo, they probably not even worried about this shit right now. They probably chilling, having a good old time, like turned up, whatever. And I'm sitting here thinking about some shit they did to me years ago.
Well, you know why? Because we live in a society that tells us when we forgive, we're letting people off the hook. So
Mm,
in the back of our mind, we have in that thought, like, well, if I forgive them, I'm telling them that what they did was okay.
mm,
And here's the thing: what they done is never okay.
yes.
The whatever hurt it is, you put some very deep examples in there. So those are unforgivable things in our society, right?
Yes.
You're a molester, you're a drug addict, you're an abusive person. Those things
Mm,
cause physical harm, emotional harm, spiritual harm, all types of harm on all different levels, right? But here's the
right.
thing: forgiveness and forgiving is forgiving. So forgiving
Mm,
is never for the other person.
no.
Forgiving is for you. It's for you to free you. And you see, you brought up a really good example of when someone has done you wrong and now they're living their best life, but now you still upset. It's because you've allowed them to take up real estate in your mind.
Absolutely.
You've allowed
Absolutely.
them and that situation to haunt you. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not saying that the feelings that you created during that situation wasn't real, because it was real. It was very needed. It was very necessary to get you through and to get you to the next level. We've created the things that we've created to really keep us safe.
Mm-hmm.
But that
Absolutely.
isn't where we are now. See, that story that we
Mm-mm.
created years ago off of the offense that they did, that was for that time. And now we
Mm-hmm.
got something called perception. You're able to look at it differently, even though nothing about the situation changes. See, the minute that I sat down on my bed and I said, Keema, what is it that you got to forgive for? Like, you got to forgive yourself for some things and you got to extend some forgiveness. So, what is it? And I said, you know what? I forgive myself for sitting down for so long, because when I lost my brother physically, I sat down. I didn't coach, I didn't speak, I didn't do anything. I didn't want to do anything. So I had to forgive myself, because imagine if I did speak, I could have helped someone that lost a sibling.
Mm-hmm.
I could have helped someone that lost a dad. I could have helped someone that lost themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because I lost a piece of me. So I knew what that felt like. So I had to forgive
Right.
myself for that. But then as I was
Right.
forgiving myself, I realized that I had to forgive the person who was behind the bullet that took the life of my brother.
Yes.
And that was the hardest thing
I,
that I had to do.
um, I can relate to that. Let's touch on that a little bit, but before we do, I just wanted to finish up a point of what you were saying about people who like hold you hostage. Um, Addiction. Like I worked in the substance abuse and recovery side for a little while, and I noticed, and I talked to other people who practice in that and side of the industry, is that like relapse is the number one cause of relapse is because of someone holding someone hostage, of someone who's trying to recover. Even if you're not in recovery, but you like, were under a substance or you've done something wrong, when you are trying to correct it, people could be cruel. Like we were talking about, there is a side of where you gotta let go, and they gotta let go. But like the truth of taking that walk, I'm no stranger to that danger. Is that like, I've like transparency, like I've had addiction at a point, and like I suffered from alcoholism for a while, and I'll wrap that into what we're going to talk about. But just also giving people counseling and coaching about it, I noticed a lot. Once they do the work to get past of the addiction, now you have to do the work of restoring relationships. And what happens a lot is, they come in with the motivation. I'm clean. I'm ready to talk. But you've been under the influence all of this time while everyone else was trying to navigate through life, and now you're sober, and now people can confront you and tell you what you did. So you got your kids, you got your wife or husband, you got your friends, you got your peers. Everyone's just hitting you from left or right, and you like, okay, well, I'm doing my best, I'm trying my best, but like I said, that those traumas is there,
Yeah.
so people are not letting that go. They holding you, and even if like it's positive what you're talking about, where people have to be able to, if they were the victim, to not hold someone hostage so they can move. But that's tough. So like I've seen both sides of it. So like when you are talking to that those same individuals, give them about 90 days. That's usually about the time. And next thing you know, they're back at it. Fuck it. Like this is easy. Like to ignore this.
And
They
it's
tried.
so sad. And
It
when
is
it
sad.
really happens, I want to say this because I feel like I was called to say it. That's the
Yeah.
external validation. See,
Mm-hmm.
when you go through the work of getting clean, and then now you want to repair the relationships, the first
Right.
relationship has to be you. You
Mm-hmm.
got to be willing to
Mm-hmm.
repair you, because you, before you let them down, you let you down. None
Absolutely.
of us grew up and said we want to drink, drink ourselves,
No.
drink ourselves crazy, or to do drugs, or be hooked on. None of us had that
No.
mindset. None of us had that idea for ourselves. So we got to give
Mm-hmm.
ourselves grace before we expect the grace from other people. We got to give ourselves grace and
Mm-hmm.
understand that it's moment by moment, moment by
Yes.
moment. And then when you give
Yes. And
yourself the grace, you have enough grace for the whole world. So then when those people then say, you know what, you did this, you did that, you can accept it because you've
Right.
heard it all. You've heard it all because you've said it to yourself. See, what people
Mm-hmm.
forget is that they're so busy judging us for the things that we're judging ourselves for.
Exactly.
So that drug addict,
Exactly.
they judge themselves for the things
Mm-hmm.
that they've done at the family reunion. they judge
Yes.
themselves for the way that they act out at the Thanksgiving, how they showed up at
Mm-hmm.
the wedding. You know, they held themselves accountable. You just
Right.
weren't
Like
there behind that black curtain.
what was it like someone externally, I'll leave them out because it's not about them, it's about the conversation we having. Is that like, yeah, like I've had someone who got clean, and I myself have been guilty of it. Is that like, they might crack a certain joke or might want to tell a story of how their reality of it is now that they're clean and sober, and it's a trigger and trauma for me, and I'm looking like that's not how that should happen. And we're constantly holding someone hostage for the things that they've done,
Yeah,
and we want to quit. When someone's trying to correct something, other people continuously remind them of their errors, and it does make it difficult for them to want to continue. Now, we did visit, like, what relapse might look like in those ways, but it's also detachments without it. Someone continuously that you're trying to make something right, if they continuously remind you of all the shit you did wrong, eventually you want to isolate from them. You don't want to have that attachment. But wrapping back, like, yes, I agree with everything you said, and it goes to where it's like, off of personal experience, and what I tell clients today is that when these people are ready to start recovering or whatever, and now we have a better mindset. You also got to remember that you did a lot of bad and a lot of damage than you done a lot of did than repairing. So you also have to understand, just because you're ready, they may not be. They may not get there for a long time. They might not receive it, but you gotta be okay with that, because, like you said, Kima, forgiveness, like forgiving, that's something that's powerful. But the part that people don't understand, what we need to realize, is that forgiveness is also a gift. Someone doesn't have to forgive you; they can let go.
yeah,
They don't have to forgive what you did. So understand that forgiveness is a gift. Receiving it is how you open it. And a lot of people, they don't receive forgiveness. They don't know how to. But like, remember those parts. Now, you said something about losing your brother. I too have lost siblings.
my
And
condolences.
no, it's cool. And that's why I was like, I want to channel in with the alcohol. Like, I remember you saying that, you know, how you handled it. You was letting go. You had to figure out ways to forgive the person who pulled the trigger. I myself lost a brother from gun, like from the gun, and still, the story is bittersweet, whatever. But that's not what we here for. But losing him, and then I lost a sister. One was from natural causes. One, was forceful. I didn't know how to cope either. Um, that's where the alcohol kind of, like, of course, as a teenager you was indulgent, but I was the person that always felt like I was the person that, like, people come to for the advice. People come to, and I listen. So I didn't understand how to dump. So instead of mostly dumping on people, I mostly dumped on a bottle. And what I felt was not harming anyone, and I was just having a good old time. um like I said, when you under the influence, you don't see the influence that you're putting on others, and like, you don't see the influence and the impact that you're having because you're not watching yourself.
Yeah.
How many times have we thought we was getting busy in the club, getting all lit, and then we watch that video back the next day, and you like, or you think you
Like, who
sing
was
it like
that?
Mariah Carey or Chris Brown. That's the fun part of it. But then the other side of it is exactly what I said. I mean, if we also, like, remember, and Why Did I Get Married? For everyone out there who don't know what that is, Why Did I Get Married is a Tyler Perry film. Check it out. It got some star power. The scene I'm talking about is when Jill Scott was talking to her husband, right? I think this is part one or two. I think it's two. Yeah, it's two. Why Did I Get Married two? And he was reminiscing about, like, the good time, like, yo, remember like we bought this house and like, we were having this, and what she remembered was how her blood was splattered on the wall. So he remembers a good he connected it to a good memory, while she has a traumatic memory. And that's what I'm getting, like, with things that we do, is that mentally we trick ourselves to forget that and block it because it's something that we're not proud of, and it's a shame. But you got to remember, there's two sides of it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
You got to
Just
fix
like
it
this
in order to
interview.
fix it.
Right. On this interview, I'm on this side, and I'm giving my version of it, but there's also another person that's on the other side of it. What's going on in your world?
Yeah.
So there's two different versions. And
And that's because we have something called personal experience,
hmm
facts, and the truth. That's how things are separated. So we can experience something totally different. You could feel like you did nothing wrong to me, and I could feel like you did the most horrible things in the world. That's based off of
hmm
personal experience. Fact, the facts can change. And what that means is
yes.
you could have sent me a text message, and that's a fact. It's a fact that you said
Yes.
this. But I
hmm
could interpret it totally different than what you truly meant. But it's the
Right?
fact that you sent it. But then there's the truth. The truth is
Yes.
we are all doing the best that we can with what we have.
Absolutely.
So it's
And
easy.
text can be misinterpreted.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's so easy. I feel like I have to say this because there's so many people during this conversation will be like, yeah, I want to step into my best self, but I can't forgive them. Not realizing that when you don't forgive them, that's you not stepping into your best self. You're blocking yourself. So we're not
hmm
saying that forgiveness means letting off the hook. Forgiveness doesn't mean friendship. We got to stop
hmm
confusing that. Forgiveness means that I am no longer allowing this situation, I am no longer allowing you or what you've put me through to
hmm
carry on to another season for me to hurt myself. That's what
Right.
forgiveness is. So if we can
hmm
have it through that frame of reference and understand that forgiveness is only for us, I feel like more of us would do it.
Right. I feel like just having these conversations now that I'm a little older,
Hmm.
with my siblings, with my friends, like I like to have conversations where it's like, I'm not living my glory days, or in the therapeutic community is called kicking your shit up. Like when you just keep talking about the shit like back in the day.
Uh,
But it's to where it's like we'll probably just be having regular conversation and something might resonate. I do take that opportunity to acknowledge like the other side of it and not just make fun. I'll be like, yo, I do apologize about that. Just want you to know that. And they would be like, yo, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, at that time, yeah, that was fucked up. And instead of making justifications or trying to make it okay for what I did, that's what I used to do when, I was under those influences. Now I'm like, yo, you know what, my bad. Because you giving me an opportunity to still have conversation with you, even though it's far removed. I know that like just me acknowledging that quick piece does a lot for someone. And when it comes to forgiveness, I'm learning that like, yes, it's not just for you, it's also for them, but the big part about forgiveness is that it's very prideful at the same time, and it's learned behavior culturally and you know self. We teach ourselves like I'm not gonna forgive that. Hell no. How when you hear certain things you want to forgive about, easier said than done. Let's just throw something out there. You finding out that an uncle or aunt molested one of your cousins or so for years, and you're not directly impacted, your family members, but come on, that's not something we want to forgive. you know um or how about a relative shooting another relative? Like, you give me, these are hard things. I'm not saying
no,
that I
no,
got
no.
all this going. I'm
Listen, it's
saying
hard.
these are conversations. These are things that when you work inside these environments, these are the things that you hear. And I just be like, well, I haven't even been through half that shit. Like, yeah, I've been through drunken conversations. I've lost siblings, but I haven't had bottoms like that. That like it's to where it's that like my interference of forgiving, it shouldn't. it should be easier for me. But that doesn't take, like, like I said, every bottom is a bottom. I'll share with you and everyone out there. S7 Zeus, he was on the show. His how forgiving made me feel like I need to be more forgiving. And like there's so many other stories before that, but he was the most recent, and he was talking about how his cousin had shot his mother and his mother. So the cousin shot his aunt and shot his mother, and how he had to learn to forgive that. He was incarcerated at the time, but he got out with the vengeance, you know? And if he would have carried out what he had to carry out, he wouldn't have got to see his kids grow. He wouldn't have got to see his mother recover. He wouldn't get to see life because he wanted to live to that code. Like, oh nah, like you did that, I'm gonna do yours. That's one part of the forgiveness, but then the other part of the forgiveness is that like that's a big one. What about the small ones? We could forgive someone for like dropping a cup on the floor and breaking it. We can forgive that. But can you forgive someone for throwing a cup at you out in range?
And you know what? I like to say, what could be small to me could be big to you. Like
Yes.
we live in this universe, and we have these laws, and one of them is the law of polarity. So what may
Mm-hmm.
seem really, really big to you can be really, really small to me. So
Mm-hmm.
using the example of the cup, I may not get upset at you dropping my cup. I may just sweep it up, throw it in the garbage, and go about my business. But let's go
Yeah.
back to the person who's not used to having anything, the person who is
Mm.
now gaining ownership. That may be something that they may not be able to forgive you for. You broke my new
Fast.
china set. This is my new china set. I just got it from Gucci. Like, and here you are. I let you
Fast.
eat toast. I let you eat some drink some tea, and you broke my stuff. So it
Mm-hmm.
can go different ways. So just looking at those examples, we get to look at ourselves. That's what I love to do. Like just hearing
Oh my God. You
hearing the
you know what?
examples.
Let me jump in there. It was a few years ago that it hits home what you just said. We don't come from much, and I burnt my sister's couch with a cigarette, but I was under the influence. And like when you said that, it took the nerve because I know that like the rage that came from is that like I'm just looking at it as like it's a couch, but I didn't mean it. But on her side is that I'm not looking at is that like I don't necessarily might have the funds to replace this. You don't know what I've done to get this. So you got two different perspectives, but the similarity is that I forgot that like we don't come from anything. So, at that time, I'm feeling like I'll replace the couch. That's how I felt. That's what the solution was. And just to wrap into that, like it was never intentionally, but like yeah, we do forget that people who don't have like it's more than just like we said material. We talked about material before. It's not just material objects to them. Like it's intimate. It's like something that's dear to them. So like things like that, couches or like you probably like somebody let you borrow like a silverware. You brung it back and it wasn't the same. It's just that you do have to understand. But even a person who doesn't come from something, and then that's the challenge. You have to still learn that like forgiveness is still the gift. If I take back for the, I mean we hashed this since then, but going back from it because when you take the nerve, if I would have been in that same scenario and I could go back to it and I'm where I'm at now, I would have understood it. It would have been like, oh shit, I just burnt the couch. Listen, I know that like this might have, cost you a leg and an arm. I did not mean it, but I was like, just carrying on. Listen, what can we do in this moment to make it better for both of us? I know you're enraged, but like, look at where I'm at with it. This wasn't intentional, but I'm also understand instead of making it humorous, like, oh shit, I'll just buy another couch, whatever. Like, we want to support each other in those moments. But you said it, and like, I'm sure you practice this that like, if someone drops something, you can have the mindset to be like, well, it's a cup.
Yeah, but it's a
I've
practice.
always been there.
It's a practice. So I don't want to
Yes.
say it as if it's like, oh, it's one and done. No, it takes time. Like I'm the oldest of five. So
Mm-hmm.
my little sister, she has a tendency of stealing people's soda. She get thirsty, she gonna drink it. So I used to get
Yeah.
upset though. I used to get really
Mhm.
upset. Like ISIS stole my soda. My mother would give me $1.50 so I could buy the soda over. Like it was
Yeah.
draining though, because I had to look at it as kind of like what you said, and it's insulting to the other person. It's insulting to the
Mhm.
person who hasn't done the work. Let me say it,
Right.
because I've done the work. So I like to say God holds us accountable for what we know. We walk
Mm.
around saying, I know that, I know that, I know how to. So
Uh-huh.
you're going to be held accountable for it. So
Right.
ISIS was stealing my soda more, more than anyone else's. So I had to
Mhm.
eventually look at me instead of looking at her, because anytime we think the problem is outside, that's the problem. I had
Mhm.
to start saying, okay, I could put my soda up, or I could take my soda with me. Why am I leaving it in her reach? Then when she still was stealing it, I said, well, it's just the soda. Like once I took everything out of it and I said it's just the soda, it became just the
Mhm.
soda, and she stole it even less. But bringing
Mm.
it to the couch, I don't want to minimize how your sister felt, because that was
Right.
too
Yes.
much. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
and and here's the thing: when it comes to furniture, like we have more pride in it. Like you said, the ego is
Yes.
wrapped into it, because it's like we can remember when the house was empty. Then we remember when we saved up to buy this couch. So all of
Right.
that emotion, all of the feeling is getting caught up and wrapped up into that. So sometimes
Mhm.
you're not it sometimes, even if you was to say, I'm sorry, what could I do to fix this for the both of us, you won't get an answer, because the
It
feeling
probably, yeah,
the
probably not in that
feeling
moment.
the
Absolutely.
feeling is still there. So it's like
Right.
sometimes you just have to accept that you got to be willing to forgive you, accept what
Mhm.
you've done, accept the offense, don't massage it. And
Right.
we don't like massage bad behavior. So if you do something, we don't do something because you did it. Like we know
Right.
better. You
Absolutely.
get what I'm saying? So it's like when you've done the work, you're doing the work on you. The work is for you. It's not for anybody else. So
Mhm.
it just goes it just wraps all into forgiveness. Like forgiving
Mhm.
is for giving more of you. So even if somebody apologizes to you for an offense that they did that hurt you, you have to understand that forgiveness, all type of forgiveness, leads to self-forgiveness. So you forgiving
Mhm.
someone else, that leads you to self-forgiveness, because all forgiveness is transactional, but it's no
Absolutely.
transactional value in blame. So I can blame
Mhm.
you all day, but who wins? Nobody. Because now
Nobody
I'm
wants.
upset. Now you feeling the way because your defense is up. Even if you know
Mhm.
you did wrong, it's still that thing called ego. So we
Right.
gotta, what I love to tell people is have a healthy ego. Because ego isn't going anywhere. We're always gonna have
Absolutely.
ego. But it's
Mhm.
just, let's try to aim towards having a healthier ego, where we're able to look at the way that we show up and understand that we're not so separate from each other. See, we get so upset at each other because we look at each other as we're separate. If I looked at
Mhm.
you, Twist, and realized I'm just a female version of you, I bleed the same. I got goals just like you. They may look different. We may
Mhm.
look different, but we're very much the same. We're a part of the
Absolutely.
same universal body, and we all have a role to do. So when I look at it like that, I realize that I don't need to hold you hostage at the
Mhm.
offense that you did, because you're just like me. And then when I look at it like that, I'm able to look at it and say, well, damn, God ain't looking at me like that. I'm not here to impose my spiritual beliefs onto anyone. I'm just here to remind you, everyone, how important it is to have a belief system. So the
Mhm.
universe, God, Allah, Buddha, however you want to refer to the creator, they're not looking at any of us and saying, well, you know what? You said you was going to work that job and you haven't worked that job.
Right.
I'm mad at you. I'm a
Oof.
no.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. So when you look at it like, well, you know what? Some of us are being a little bit cardinal. Like what happened, it wasn't nice. But
Right.
I learned something from it. See, even the child that grew up getting molested, they learned something from that. Because they
Mhm.
learned something and they experienced something that their children would never have to go through if they've done the
Mhm.
work. But a lot of us,
Right.
we blame people for what we're passing down for what we're
Mm.
giving off.
Mm-hmm.
See, if I have younger siblings, I still have my brother that passed away, God rest his soul, but I'm still a big sister physically to other children, other young
Mm-hmm.
children. Three of them have autism. So I have to show up. I don't just show
Mm-hmm.
up for me, I show up for them because they're watching me. So they have
Oh
to
my
see
God.
what it looks like to forgive. They have to
And
see what it looks like to step up. They have to see what it looks like to be the best version because they don't have that example everywhere. So I have to make
mm-hmm.
sure that I'm being the example rather than the critic because it's easy for me to say to that person, well, you killed my brother. You killed him. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to forgive you. But I know that I'm blocking myself off from the things that I'm willing to give. See, I have a story, I have a voice. If I wasn't willing to forgive, I wouldn't be able to give this.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to share the things that I'm able to share with you, with your amazing audience, because I haven't done the work. So it goes
Right.
back into people are watching us.
Yes.
That 12-year-old girl, she's watching. That 57-year-old man, he's watching, and they're not watching how we fell down. They're watching
No.
on how we get up. They're not
Mm-hmm.
watching on how you point the finger. They're watching how you say, you know what? It's time for me to brush myself off. And it's time for me to step in and be my own rescue. Because I know what it's like to put the cape on and rescue everybody else. So let me rescue myself. And if forgiveness is
Mm-hmm.
what's going to do it, then I'm going to forgive. If
Amen.
loving is gonna be what's gonna do it, then I'm gonna love. See, I lead with love. I love everybody. I don't love you like my brother or sister. I give you agape love. That's the love that God gives me. That's the love that
Yeah.
God gives you. So I'm gonna give it because I'm God in human form. You're God in human form. But the minute that I say I'm God in human form and I'm holding myself hostage or I'm holding myself shackled down to the things that happen not to me, but for me. See, losing my brother is bittersweet because my greatest gifts came wrapped in sandpaper. See, I learned how to develop my voice through losing my brother. It's the hardest thing that I ever had to deal with. I just said on an interview recently, I felt crippled. Like my mom said I learned how to walk when I was 6 months, and I had no memory on how to walk. So it was tough. I had to learn how these 2 feet move, how these legs move again. And it was hard. It was the hardest thing that I ever had to do. But forgiving, oh, that took the cake because I could hear as I was saying the forgiveness prayer, I can hear me saying, they killed your brother. Why would you forgive somebody that hurt you? But I had to tell myself they didn't do anything to me. They did something for me. They didn't even know that they was giving me a story because my gifts aren't for me. So this story isn't for me. Someone needed to hear how to forgive somebody that hurt them, that took something away. That took something. And see, we grieve. We've been trained to think like grief comes with just losing a friend or a family member. But grief comes in so many different forms. You grieve that old version of yourself that you didn't grow to be. See, some of us wanted to be doctors when we were kids, models, movie stars. We're grieving that. We a lot of us didn't even realize that we grew up in our teenage lives and early adulthood grieving that old version that we didn't even get to see. And then we
Right.
had these relationships with girls or boys, whoever, and they left us. So we grieved that. Then we lost jobs. We thought we were going to climb to the corporate ladder. So what I'm showing you is grief shows up in different forms. And if it was hard for me to forgive at this level, I had to learn somewhere. Because if I didn't forgive at this level, I wasn't going to forgive at the next level. And it's always another
Mm-hmm.
level. It's always another
Right.
level. And
Right.
my brother's my biggest trigger right now, Twist. Somebody say something in the slightest bit that I don't like, I'm ready to go off. But I realize because that's my trigger, I have to unplug it. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that I don't love my brother. It means that I'm so invested in meeting the best version of Keema that I can't let those things get to me. So I made these things. Do I have it near me? I usually have it close, yes. I have these things called reframe cards that are made, and it's just things that I help reframe those limiting beliefs. So when I have that belief, or somebody says something about my brother, like, oh, I don't know. The kids nowadays, they say they smoking on people. So that was something that I had to give
Hmm.
to somebody. I guess it was the people that knew the trigger man, and they were saying we smoking on Staffa, and I was so upset. I was so upset. I'm a lady, and I was ready to find me a gun. Just being honest.
Smoking this pack, yeah.
But I had to remember that's not my brother. My brother's a spirit. There's nothing that they could say that can hurt him because he's in total alignment.
That is tough. That's powerful. I was going to ask all of this as a question, but you touched it before I could get there, and I respect that. And I love that you was cooking, you eating, because that's prosperity and that's food for the soul for you. Like I would that like yeah. The next question was how did you deal with the loss of your brother, and like
Still
how
haven't
could you
answered.
help someone else out there?
I still haven't
You,
answered.
you, I mean, I know. I'm gonna let you eat more. I just want to touch in a little bit because I wanna just chime in with you because I understand. Um, you were saying a lot of powerful things. I had to catch a note because I'm like, all right, she's cooking. When you were talking about people smoking packs. What's the other part of that? You said that you had to learn how to utilize that as a gift and show up for your other siblings. See, we show out for the person we lost, and we forget to show up for the people who's still there. It's like I've recently, it's been about 2 years now. Like I told you about my brother, told you about my sister, but then it was my father, a parent. Didn't know how to channel that. And I was already still battling that. Is that like yeah, but even then I didn't do the work. But yeah, I'm still counseling and coaching these other individuals doing my profession. But little do anyone knows, like I'm suffering myself because I'm giving all energy in the puzzles to help someone else, and I'm not helping me. I had to learn how to get me back too. So I'm good now, but at those moments, is that like I'm reflecting on what you're saying. Is that like it's almost bittersweet because when my sister passed away, I watched the giants of my life, the people I look up to fall. They were breaking and boo-hooing. I got it, I'm hurt too, but I'm also looking at other individuals too. So the rest of us is like, well, what about us? I mean, we still here. It's almost to where it's like I want to say jealousy, but it's also to where it's like it puts you in a spot to where it's like, well, damn, like. But then the other side of it is that like I'm also a sibling, so watching my youngins versus the older ones, I'm in the middle. I'm seeing the difference to where it's like I'm watching one side try to be strong, and I'm watching the other side become weak. I don't know which side to go to. So like I said, I wound up figuring out my own potions. But looking back at those things, is that the older part of me was feeling like I gotta be logical and be stronger for them being, but like a little part of me was like trying to also be like just grieve. That's what I'm talking about, like that middle side to where that's what I was seeing, is to where is that like okay, um being a person that's grieving, you're not really realizing that even in your grief, there's no time limit to grief, but there's also like it shouldn't be no way of how you grieve, but you also want to be you kind of want to be I don't know what word I'm looking for, but you want to make sure that you understand like what grieving looks like.
Mm.
When you grieve.
Mindfulness.
Some people they grieve like becoming addicted. Some people grieve with anger and aggression. They become a different person. They isolate, become depressed, or smile and just bury themselves in work. Um, but eventually you are gonna have to like seek some type of help or professional help if you don't have anyone to talk to, because you're gonna check out.
Yeah.
All of those ways of checking out. And like yeah, when you said that, it made me resonate because when those deaths were occurring, I realized that I had checked out in the ways that I checked out, and that was not right, because there are people, and I'm glad that you was able to identify that these people still need you. These people are still here. How would your brother feel if he found out his sister was out here carrying on, about to go bust a gun and catch the drill, spin a block, he probably would have admired it, clap clap, bravo. But what about the people we got left here?
He would
We
have
we
been
got to do
angry.
this
Let me tell you something. He
exactly.
in
You
total
know,
alignment. He would have been like, "Girl, who is gonna help mommy with these kids?
right, right,
What's
and
wrong
that's what
with
I was like.
you?"
I was thinking, like I'm sitting there thinking, like losing my sister. I have other sisters that's still alive. Like, like she wouldn't have been happy to see that. It's like I'm sitting here neglecting everything. I'm just burying myself in work, doing all the things that I want to do so I can be okay. My brother, same shit. Is that like I was just always wondering, like, well, the what ifs, like, but that's God's design. We don't agree with a lot of things, but we have to understand that, like, there's a lesson with anything. Even the things that I've done, I'm a lesson to someone the same way someone's a lesson to me.
Mm, absolutely.
But yeah, just wanted to share that, and I'm gonna let you continue, like, giving the information when it comes to your brother, because I want to touch on some other stuff when it comes to your business too. After,
Oh yeah,
God,
I forgot we didn't get there.
no, we didn't.
I want to thank
Right,
you for
we
sharing.
giving
I
medicines.
want to thank you for sharing your experience and for reminding me that I'm not alone. Like we forget, we hear so much about like people losing parents, but like you don't really have a name for when you lose a sibling. Like you just lost a
No.
sibling. When a husband lose a wife, he's a widow. Then you got the widower,
Hmm.
like the parentless. But it's like, what happens when you lose a sibling, right? So I just thank you for
Hmm.
sharing that with me because that's been one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with. And
It is hard. It is hard,
and I'm still
and this might sound selfish. I don't know if I don't know. Have you lost a parent?
no, well, I lost my dad. I lost my dad.
Okay, you lost your dad. I lost my. All right, I don't know if you can relate. I talked to other people about it who understand it. I'm still new to it. I don't want to take away from my dad. I love my dad, and he was a great father. And I love my mother too, but I feel like it hit different when I lost my siblings. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. It hit differently.
I'm
It
glad you
just hit
said that
different.
because
It
that was
hit different.
something that I had a hard time dealing with.
Yeah, and I don't know why it's like that. I still try to understand. But like, yeah, I hurt because of my pops, but it still goes back to my siblings after. It's like I don't know. And yeah, other people I've asked them, and, they've had close relationships with their parents, and if they had a sibling who's gone, I don't know. I guess for me, if I could wrap a little bit into it, I just felt like your parents send you to do everything with them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, your parents is your friends, and you love them, but like you and your siblings, y'all more close in age. You know what I'm
You grew
saying?
up
Y'all got
together.
that. Yeah, y'all got that love. Y'all, no funny shit. It's like y'all got that relationship. Like that's your lover. That's your best friend. That's your kryptonite. That's the person who like loves to love you, hates to hate you, calls you on your bullshit. You did got in the domestic violence with them, sibling rivalry. So like you've done everything in the book. But that love is like, other than your kids, might be the closest to the unconditional with your parents, but when they disappeared, like it was just a different feeling. And like I try to dedicate myself to, like, when I'm talking to people out there, it's like it's the memory of them, but not giving like I'm just going to make the excuse to where they're gone, and I'm just going to utilize their death to justify like my stupidity. I
Yeah.
decided I wanted to uplift and do something better. And like I said, like I have other siblings. It's not fair to them. Just like I feel like it wouldn't be fair to me. Like, yo, I'm here for you still too. You know what I'm saying? You only get one mom, you only get one dad, but like, yeah, siblings, they hit a little harder. I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because for me it was a little bit, well, it was the same, just a little different. I lost my
Hmm.
dad a year before I lost my brother. So I was devastated at losing my dad. But then when I lost my brother, it was like, I'm crippled. Like, what the hell is going on here? But I always say my dad prepared me for my brother, and I didn't even
Mm,
know it. Because if it would have been the other way around, I would have really lost it. I don't think I would even be here if my brother would have
mm.
died and then my father would have died. I feel like,
See, it was the opposite for me.
yeah.
My dad got me prepared for them in a way as they went first.
Mm,
And then he went after. But he was there to hold it. But like, yeah, like wow, that's a different take.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I love
I don't
that.
know if it was the other way around. I don't know how it would feel. I'll probably be fucked up still. Yeah,
Like
that's I,
it's still a hurtful thing.
yeah. I mean, I mean, it's sad that we gotta think that way, but like that's just life. Like we all gonna go out one day.
But what I will
But
say is, and I think maybe this will be great for you. Like, of course, your audience, but I think this will be
yeah,
amazing
of
for you
course.
too, because when I lost my dad, like I've been on this spiritual journey, I've been on a personal development journey, I've been bettering myself. So it was kind of like I had this cushion to fall on.
Mm-hmm.
It was like he passed away, and now I'm just getting back into studying. But when I was getting back into studying, it was almost like everything that I was coming across was conviction and synchronicity for him. So it was things that guided me and walked me through death. I would never forget. It was July 15th. I came across this daily devotion, and it said, people never really die, they just change form. And that
Mm-hmm.
was the confirmation I needed from my dad. And I remember standing in my living room crying like a baby. And I said, thank you, God, because I've been saying this. I just didn't have the proof, but I will always say, I feel my dad. I was on the steps. I was playing around, being silly, putting on my jacket on the very top of the step. And I kind of slipped back. And my boyfriend was too far back to pull me, like to grab me. So I was falling
Mm-hmm.
back. And as I was falling back, I felt this push, like, get up, like,
Mm-hmm.
get up and don't do that again. And it just felt so fatherly. And I looked back and I said, thank you, Daddy. Like, I just remember saying, thank you,
Mm-hmm.
Daddy. And I said, God, thank you so much for allowing me to feel that, allowing me to experience that. And then I came across that that passage that said, people never die, they just lose form. Now, that was July 15th.
Mm-hmm.
July 17th, my brother texted me. We used to do this thing on Messenger. I would send him videos all day, funny videos, and then he'll
Mm-hmm.
finally send me a message laughing. So this emoji wasn't a laughing emoji though. He sent me a clock. It's like an old clock. And I'm like, I loved it. And I was like, you meant to send me a clock? Like, and he never
Yeah.
responded back. And then I wrote him and I was like, you good? Like, you safe? And we started talking. He's like, I love you, Keemy. I'm good. I'm outside. I'll see you when I get home. And then August 1st, 5 days before my birthday, he was gone. So I always look at that message and I always say, he was preparing me. God was preparing me for my brother. God was reminding me that my brother's always going to be here. So that's why I'm good, because I knew my dad was with me. I just couldn't see him, but I
Mm-hmm.
knew that. God said, you know it. Now it's time to live it.
Yes.
See, we know things, but we don't live it all the time. So I had to live the things that I was practicing. I had to live the things that I was preaching. I had to live it. I had to, the same way I would tell people, their spirit is always with you. They're always with you. I had to now
Mm-hmm.
live that. And I had to be
Yes.
open. And I had to see it in the
Yes.
smallest things. My brother's birthday is
Mm-hmm.
June 4th. And I remember saying,
Mm-hmm.
Staffa, show me if you're here with me, because I don't know if you're here with me. And it has me sad. And I looked down and I saw on a piece of paper 6-4, June 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And I smiled and I said, wow, I'm open. I receive it. I embrace you as you are. And I never questioned it again from that moment, because it's the
Right.
smallest things that we sometimes aren't open to. So I made sure during the time when I lost my brother, I was smoking heavy. That
Mm-hmm.
was my addiction. I was smoking heavy and I wasn't being in the right environment. So I had to remind myself, I have to stop this smoking, like this heavy smoke. I have to stop it. And I have to stop being around spaces and places that don't serve me, because I'm missing it. I'm missing it. And the moment that I said that, I saw a license plate that said Mustafa. That's his name. So it's like these things. It's like you have to be in touch with you and tuned with you. And
Yeah.
that's
You
why I
gotta
had to
be in
be
tune.
willing to step into my best self, my best version. Because there's pieces of me that I was still holding on to because it was so familiar. It was like I
Mm-hmm.
held on to some of those people because that was a connection to my brother. But I had to be willing to let it go, because those are the
Mm-hmm.
things that probably held him back. Come on, we
Shit.
gotta just have forward moving conversation. This is grown
Yeah.
folks conversation. The kids gotta go
Yes.
to bed right now
Mm-hmm.
because it was
Yes.
just certain things that I was doing. Then when I was willing to step, like I never even said out loud that I was smoking. Like I had a heavy smoke. This is my first time ever really saying it because I was afraid. I was so afraid that if I said it, people would have judged me. But I was already judging me. And I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
We were having a forward moving, transparent conversation. So I said, let's remove the mask all the way. He told me about his drinking. Let me share about my smoking because there's somebody that was experiencing that. There's
Hell yeah.
somebody that's
We
going through
taking
it
it
right
there.
now.
Right now. And like, yeah, it's like people forget, like I said, that grieving. This was something that like I don't know, as because I was a smoker. I transitioned because one time I was on papers, so I decided, okay, well, I can't smoke, I gotta do that. That's how it started. But I stayed in that because I enjoyed it. But then it became a coping mechanism. Then it became something to where I didn't know it until like I started to recognize like when I started, I knew the material. I want to say like I was a con of con. So I was in the PHP, which is people helping people, but I was conning it. Like, I was what we do best, tell people the best advice that you could tell someone to do something for them, but forget you.
Yeah.
So like I was helping everyone. I'm the best of the gift when it come to the guy, but when it came to me, like I was neglecting.
Yana.
And I'm like, shit, like I'm on I'm on fire when I'm talking to people. Like, yeah, again, I'm feeling good, but like me is like poor me. Like I'm not loving on me. Like I'm not doing nothing on me. I'm showing up to work, smelling like alcohol,
Mm,
telling people, hey, listen, this is what it does to your body. This is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But and then, like, I'm doing my thing. Sometimes I'm hungover. Sometimes like I'm doing this, and I care about people. I love what I'm doing, but at the same time, I'm suffering from what they suffering from. Who's the best to do it than the someone who's doing it? If you want to wing off crack or you want to know what crack does to your body, you gotta ask a
yeah.
crackhead. You know what I'm saying? If you want to write a book, you gotta talk to an author. If you want to know what alcohol does to you and how it makes you feel and the stupidity it brings you, talk to an alcoholic, but not while they still indulging. So it's like I'm a hypocrite. I do apologize to those people out there, but I was young and I fell in love with the idea of sounding like I was doing something for the world and acts of like affirmations to help, but I wasn't doing nothing for me.
Yeah.
Saving the world, losing myself.
Mm,
I want to wrap back into that and say yes, thank you, because now I try to be transparent and stop looking at that as something to be ashamed of, as something that like I should not talk about, because like me talking about it doesn't just help me, it helps a lot of people. And like you said, like it is relatable because I'm not alone. Like the thing about it is that like either I'm gonna choose to emotionally dump it as like, hey, this is what I did, I feel bad about myself. No, I try to be human about it, I laugh about it, but at the same time I'm acknowledging and I'm forgiving, and I'm also understanding that addiction is real. And my experience, everybody knows, I say it a few times, experience comes from pain. Well, I can sit here and I can counsel and I can coach and I can tell people like the ins and outs so we can laugh about it. I'm not telling you because I read it in the book and it's some theory. Yes, I do some research to sharpen up what it looks like for today, but this is past. This is things I walked from, being homeless, like incarcerated, losing siblings, now losing parents. We are lessons. No, these lessons hurt. I was fucked up off these shits. But at the same time, once I linked into them and stopped looking at them as a burden or something to be ashamed of, I look at it as like I am the vessel. I am the lesson.
yes, yes.
you know, it's people like your brothers and sisters. They have mental conditions like they have autism. My sister, before she passed, she had a trait in her throat. The doctors ruled her not to live past a day or three. I don't know. There's so many different stories, but she was supposed to live, and she lived all the way up to 22 years old. You get what I'm saying? Out of love, she was a lesson. You know what I'm saying? So, her lesson, my lessons, everybody's lessons out there. Like I said, a lot of them we don't want the lesson. We don't want to be the lesson, but we have to sometimes. Now that like I'm practicing like doing other things, I'm not gonna sit up here and lie and say like yes I don't drink. No, I do drink. I do drink. But I had to take a step back. Like losing my father, that was like the last hiatus. Like that was to where um, I thought that I was doing good, and like a little touch on that, where you said that like your dad and your brother they were always there. I When my father was living, I used to feel like he ain't teach me shit, and then on his way transitioning out, I realized he taught me everything that he could. So by the time when he was gone, and I would be feeling like, damn, I don't know what to do. I do. And I'm now you get that flashback. You're like, damn, they taught you everything. Like I spent all this time thinking I know nothing. It's like when Neo start doing his thing, at the end when he fighted like Agent Smith, he just and it was I was like, wow, it was like it was there. I'm like, wow, thank you. Like shit. And I don't look at it like where it's like damn I never got the chance to say thank you to my dad. Not a lot of people get that opportunity. But we did say our thank you. We did start talking about like things we didn't do correctly as like as a son what I did, as a dad what he did, and we did get that closure. So when he passed, there wasn't on some oh God, I'm never gonna get it. There's other people that had that, but for me, I was just like,
And
all
I'm
right, I
thankful
respect
you
it.
got that because see, my dad was
Yeah.
in and out of jail, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't necessarily get it. I went so far as to creating an imaginary dad because yeah,
Okay.
because when I was growing up,
Okay.
my dad was in jail, so I was conceived in jail, and
Okay.
my mom didn't feel comfortable telling that story, so I had a different guy that I thought was my dad. And then I got older and I knew that he wasn't my dad. Like my mom finally
Mm-hmm.
told me, like, Amar's not your father, G Well is your father. But
Mm.
by the time she did that, I had so much family around that. Like even some of my cousins would say, like, if you say Amar's not your father, you can't play with us. So I
Mm.
had to hold on to that story that Amar was my dad just so I can play with some of my family. And as I gotten older, it was easier to keep up with that lie than to tell the scary truth that my dad was
Mm.
in jail. It was just easier because I felt like if I shine light on me, that the light was going to shine on him, then everybody was going to know our connection. So it was
Facts.
just easy
Fact.
to act like I had this deadbeat dad named Amar that just was delivering pizza, didn't care about me, and going about his business. It was easier than to say that I had a dad that was in jail having a long term timeout. That's what I called it as I gotten older. He was on a
Nah.
long
I
term
mean, come on.
timeout, and
Mm-hmm.
as I gotten older, I realized that I had all of these bad relationships with guys because I didn't have a relationship with my dad.
Okay. Yes.
So as I turned 17, 18, I spoke to my dad and I always held that conversation in my heart because I got like he heard me as a woman. He always knew me as a kid. Like he got out of jail, of course. I would see him
Mm-hmm.
every now and then. Him and my mom were still married. So he would walk
Nice.
around and he would want to be with my mom and I'll just look at him like, Daddy, mommy done moved on, whatever. But I always loved my dad. So
Yes.
as then he got arrested again. Like there was gaps with him being outside with me and then incarcerated, but I always held him here even though people never knew it. So when I gotten older, I was 18, I was working at Bath and Body Works, and I saw one of my aunts, his sister, and we got in contact and I spoke to him, and it was one of the best days of my life because even though he told me he was in a halfway house, because he
Mm-hmm.
had to lie and say that the drugs he was selling was his drugs to take. I said, listen, Daddy, you got to do what you got to do so you ain't got to
Right.
come
If you
back
know,
to
you
me,
know. We know how it
so you
goes.
get to
Mm-hmm.
see me. Like, so I always wanted to see him. And as I gotten older, though, like I held that 18-year-old conversation, but I just always had this entitlement. Like he know where I am. He know we ain't moved. So if he wanted to see me, he'll see me. And then we lost our home. And
Mm-hmm.
then he came to look for us. I never knew that until he died. And COVID happened. Like he got really sick during COVID. So it's like I lost my home, COVID happened, and then my father passed away. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like I lost out all this time owning my truth, how I felt. It was so much easier walking around with this imaginary dad. So now I just own my dad. I own my story. And it goes back into what you were saying. I felt like I didn't learn things from my dad. But the minute that he died, I learned everything. I can promise you,
Mm-hmm.
the minute that he died, I learned my value. I learned my worth. I learned that a man really loved me. And I didn't have to search looking for love from anyone else. I left a 5-year relationship after my dad died because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that I was in this relationship trying to be saved. I was trying to be saved, and he had a whole baby on the side that he never told me about. But once my
Mm,
dad
yeah.
died, I was able to find me. I was able to look at me in a way that I never even was able to. So that's my gift wrap in sandpaper. That's what I like to call it. It's tough. It scratched me up. It made me bleed.
Hell yeah.
But as I gotten through that sandpaper, I got the gift, and I got to get to
Yes.
know me. Cause my friend,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to you, Rachel. She would always tell me when we years ago, she's like, Keema, if you don't know your dad, you don't know you. Like you gotta know
Shout
both
out to Rachel.
both parents. Like you gotta know both sides. And I'll be like, I know me, but I didn't. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what I thought was me.
Mm.
And then when I was able to really step into me, I was wanting to see, well, what it would look like when I take the next step and the next step, because I saw this
Love that.
entire staircase, but I didn't want to run up the staircase because I know when we run up or try to skip steps, we fall. So I just took
Absolutely.
one step at a time, and I was doing it scared, and I was doing it unprepared, and I was doing it again. But I built a relationship with my dad in the afterlife, and that's only because when we lose people, like when they're here, and I learned this with my brother. This will probably be the last thing I say about them because y'all ain't gonna take up my interview. But
No, no, no.
I learned that a lot of the things that I was experiencing, I needed it. I needed it to get to where I was gonna go. See, I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't be a speaker with no story. I can't tell
Yes.
someone how to navigate challenges if I haven't navigated the challenges. And as much as
Mm-hmm.
losing my home hurt, that story wasn't big enough. It,
Right.
it just
It's
wasn't.
their theory without the thesis. That's what I
Yeah.
call it.
I had to get the test to get to the testimony.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Um, yeah, I wanna get away from this part too. I'm actually impressed we didn't share any tears. But I got so used to talking about it now, like it's second nature and it's more like on a brighter note. But like with mine, it's like that was the wake up call for me too. Like, yes, when you lose people, yes, you where I'm at, yeah, when you lose people, a part of you gets lost too, but a part of them gets left behind and they give it to you. And that's what I learned when losing my sister, losing my dad, losing my brother, shit, losing my grandma, shit, losing some of my friends, but those were more like like those were my immediate, those were my family. But when my dad left, like I said, I felt like he didn't teach me shit until it was him that made the turning point to where it's like this is the giant, this is the glue. So I got to watch different players unravel, and I got to watch how everyone changed. Everything shift. Everyone's grown up at this point, thank God. But like I got to see different versions of mourning, different versions of grieving, even mines, to where it's that like all of those things that like I felt like yeah I'm gonna just carry through life and continue to do. I just had that one shot. I died in that one shot. I remember having a Henny bottle, big ass Henny bottle, and I downed that shit because I was holding it. At first, I was, just chilling. I'm like, I ain't gonna do it, but I've never practiced sobriety. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never done it because I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until like him something with that just channeled different energy. So like I would have bottles just laying there, but it was that one bottle of Henny I just bought because that was my thing right there. That was my kryptonite, my love. That's the love right there. Everything else, fuck that. Like you could have all shit laying around, I don't give a fuck. But that big ass shit, it was sitting there for months. And when he was gone, like I remember my partner at the time, they was like, yo, you good? I'm like, yo, I don't know. Like if I go down this road, I don't know if I'm coming back. And then That's just what I'm not saying suicidal thoughts. I'm saying like
Uh-huh.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but like I did good for a second. Next thing you know, I was sitting there one day and I just cracked it, boom, and it was all gone. For that, it was all hell. I was gone. I don't weeks. Weeks, weeks. Probably like a month or so. Like I was gone, like just gone, and then um I just came back. When I came back, um everything was clear, but like there was a lot of damage done in between too. But it was also to where it's not nothing to where I didn't kill anybody or nothing like that. It was more like self damage. But everything was clear and I knew exactly what I needed to do. And I'm like, all right, that was the hoorah. So like even with like wanting to be like addicted to things like I didn't want to. I wanted to be there for my family. I felt like it was selfish not to continue on. Like our giant is gone, so the minions gotta pick up and grow. We gotta be the beanstalk now. So it's like I'm in position. I'm not a little brother. I'm not just an older brother, but I'm not just a brother. I'm an uncle. I'm someone's son. Like I'm someone's friend. Like I gotta love me too. Like how selfish is that for these people who died and can't do it themselves? That we here, we owe that to them. We owe that to them. So I felt like I owe that. If anything, if I don't owe anything else, like I owe that because I know if the tables had turned, my last wish for someone that I love is to win, not to be out there all drunk or you just abusing substance or whatever. I want them to win. So I'm just like, this would be selfish. So let me do something different. So I started to take things very, very important. I started to take things seriously. I started to take relationships seriously. In my profession, I was always great. But in my personal life, I sucked. I'm a cool ass motherfucker, but like by myself, like I felt like me and my demons is cool and we gonna be dancing and chilling here. When I'm realizing like they just like me because like I'm cool and all that shit. Like they pat me on my back and all that shit, like enjoying it. But like when I'm, on human nature, when you like, hey, let's go over here and like let's go read a book or go see a museum. To some people, that's like, what the fuck? That's corny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When I start to realize that, like, all right, this is who I am, not the behavior, it got different.
Yeah.
And for people out there, I just want y'all to understand is that, like, yeah, grieving, and sometimes, yeah, it does take loss, or sometimes it takes a lesson. But you don't want it to be where it gets detrimental. You want to try to recognize it now. So look at people like me and Keema, and look at us, and look at those lessons, and hopefully you don't have to learn a hard one like us. But a little bit more going in channels, you
Yeah.
behind the scenes of the pain that gives you the experience, what do you do? Because we know you do a lot out there.
I am a speaker. I'm a transformational speaker and coach. Um, and I'm a creator. Like I'm the queen of possibilities. So I do a lot, but I be the queen of possibilities. That's who I be. That's who I am at the root, at the core.
That's
I am
who I
yeah,
be.
I am a woman. I am someone that thinks on possibilities. Everything is possible because I know what it feels like to feel like I have none. So now I
Mm-hmm.
just operate on possibilities. So I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I use my voice. I like to say I'm an artist of words. So, like, I
Mm-hmm.
know how to bring texture to something, I know how to give my message some texture, I know how to pull you into that dark corner that you didn't even know existed and pull you out. That's what I do as a transformational speaker and coach because, the motivation is cool. We all want to be motivated, but you don't need motivation for the things that's important to you. Sometimes you
Mm.
need transformation. Sometimes you need to be poked. Sometimes you got to have the mirror being held up that you're better than this. Like when I lost my home, I had to really look around and say, I'm more than this. This doesn't match my DNA. Like I don't know where I'm supposed to be. I don't know where I'm gonna go, but I know it's not here. So I had to be willing to tap into things that I didn't even know existed. And that's my resilience. So I mean, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a creative, I do a lot. But mainly I really change lives. That's really the work that I do is I change lives because someone changed mine.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Amen.
the voice of my mentors, hearing them, that became oxygen for me because I didn't have anything else. My mom did the best that she could with what she had. And sometimes I used to feel like she gave me trash, but it was the best trash that she could have given me. So I had to be
Mm-hmm.
willing to learn things from other people. I had to grow from other people. And I learned that, like you said, we all had a voice. I just was always told to shut up, or I talk too much, or be quiet. So I didn't get a chance to develop it. But when I heard my mentor, Lisa Nichols, when I heard her speak and heard her story about her being on government's assistance and being on that line, I'm like, well, I was on the path line. Like,
Hell
I
yeah.
was on the path line.
Government cheese,
So,
baby.
if she could do it, that means I could do it. So
Right.
that's why I show up. That's really my work. Is just reminding people that if I can do it, you can do it. Like if I can get up,
Amen.
you can get up. Some people like to look at me like I'm just this extraordinary person and I always have to burst their bubble. I'm ordinary just like you. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
extraordinary. No one gets the right to make me extraordinary. Don't let yourself
Mm-hmm.
off the hook. I'm ordinary. I just choose to make one extraordinary decision every single day. But I'm ordinary just like you. I just choose to
Amen.
show up. I just choose to remove the mask. I choose to know my worth. I choose to study these people and apply it.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm studious. I'm a studious learner. Everything that I come across, I know that I'm not just learning it just to hold it in my back pocket. It goes in the toolbox to be applied because I gotta sharpen me before I could sharpen anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to make sure that I'm my biggest client. I'm the audience member that I'm speaking to in the seat because I need to hear it just as well as someone else needs to hear it. I haven't
Amen.
arrived. So just to go back, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a creative. But there's always going to be another level of me. Like right now, I'm working on a coloring book. But it's because I'm a creative. I have a lot of different things that I like to do. And sometimes I want to collaborate with other people. I have the theory that when good people do good, they get to do more good in the world. And I'm a good woman. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
good person. So I want to do more good in the world. So,
What would like what would people get from services with you as a coach?
okay. So I mean, I can't say transformational like as one answer, but
Mm-hmm.
transformation. But I think for for my clients, what they are getting is someone that sees them. That's the number one thing that a lot of us want. We want to be heard and we want to be seen. And when we're growing through things, we don't feel seen. We feel like sometimes nobody understands what we're dealing with. We feel like people don't know what we're growing through. So I offer my ears and my eyes. Like I want you to know first that I see you and I hear you. I acknowledge you. I celebrate you because signing up for coaching is one of the hardest things to do. A lot of people don't want to coach because they don't want to feel like they have something wrong with them. But I have a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So hear this, the coach has the coach. I have four.
No, that's true.
You because we haven't arrived. I'm still learning, and the things that I learn and the things that I'm growing through, the things that my coach gives to me after I apply it and I see how it looks after I try it on, I make my clients try it on because
Mm-hmm.
none of us are separated. The things that can
No.
help me, the things are it can help you too. So
Mm-hmm.
you get to see that you're not alone. You get to see that there's someone that has this experience under their belt. Like I don't call myself an expert. I just have experience.
Amen.
So
What kind of sorry, go ahead, yeah.
no, you just get
Oh,
you
that's
just
me?
get that. You get to work with somebody that's able to see possibilities. See, I'm not just giving you techniques, I'm not just giving you tools, I'm giving you activation. Like once we are done coaching with each other, you understand after the 90 days, because my program is a 90-day program. Three sessions.
Okay, that's what I was looking for next. The programs and the courses.
Yeah. You know, the 3 months or 90 days. But you're gonna be
Okay.
different. You're going to be so unrecognizable, barely recognizable because you said yes to you. That's what my clients experience. They
Mm-hmm.
experience mindset shifts. They experience a whole new version of themselves because they said the simple word yes.
Yes. Do you only give like one-on-one sessions, or do you do group? Do you have group
So
sessions?
right now I'm only doing one on one, and that's through my online program. It's still in the works.
Okay.
I have another
Hmm.
program. It's more transformational, group
Okay.
transformational. So it's like I go on. If I'm coaching you, you can jump on, you can jump in, and then I have a workshop that I'm doing in my community. So it's tends to be both because I'm still
Hmm.
building my 31 day possibility ignited program. I like to be
Okay.
able to kind of offer a little bit more. So when I do the possibility planning sessions, that's my 3 month program. That's just you and I because we're so fixated on feeling like we got to bring a friend something. No, no, no. Just you and I. We're going to work through
Yes.
getting you over that hump. We're going to work to get you to that next best version of yourself, even if you don't know what it
Hmm.
is. Even if you may be doing good right now, you're going to see what better looks like. You're going to see how you can
Okay.
love more, receive more. But I tend to like to do it on a more intimate level because the group sessions sometimes can be, you can get lost in the group. Sometimes you don't feel
Yes.
seen in the group. So I
Hmm.
like to balance it out. Um, with the possibility planning sessions, though, what makes it so amazing is you get that group feeling when we jump on for our celebration session. So every month, since it's 3 months, we jump in for a check-in and then a Q&A.
Hmm.
So you may have people that I'm coaching that's on the call too, and you're like, well, who are these people? But there are people that's
Hmm.
just like you, and they have questions. And I know I've been in programs where I had questions, but I didn't want to ask them, someone
Yes.
ended up asking the same question that I had, or in a different form, or a question that I didn't even know that I needed an answer to. So that environment helps them. So I like to try to, give them the best of both worlds. But I am going to
Okay.
develop something just for groups and develop just something just for individuals because that blurred line, as much as it's good, sometimes it can be distracting for the person who's new
Hmm.
or for the person who has more trauma than someone else, or somebody who may have not done any work compared to the person who done some type of work. It can
Hmm.
be a little bit difficult, but
Okay. Like
yeah.
for like new clientele, people who are inquiring about your services, do you have any like kind of like, is there free consultations? Is there like, hey, if you come over here, you could get this for free? Like, is there any promotional
Yeah.
parts of
Yeah,
this?
I think I was the free queen at one point because I didn't know my
Okay.
worth at one point, so I wasn't putting a dollar sign on things. So
Okay.
I have tons of resources. I have
Okay.
my group number one. I'm planning with possibilities. That's a whole resource. It's in the revamp stage because, like I told you, I wasn't moving last year, so I'm
Hmm.
redesigning and redreaming and doing different things. But you definitely get a consultation because I don't want your money. I'm here for your breakthrough. So I gotta first see if we're fit because you may need coaching, but it may not be from my campus. There may be somebody else that's more equipped that's able to help you better than I can. So always the consultant, always offering my group. I have a lot of materials, a lot of templates, workbooks. I have so many free resources that I give away for free. I go live a lot.
Hmm.
I use my voice a lot. So when you go on my page, you're gonna see a lot of resources. You're gonna see a lot
Right.
of things
Yes.
that's gonna even make you even think if you want to get on a call with me or not. Because that's gonna
Hmm.
see if we can build trust first and foremost. So I have a
Hmm.
lot of things that I'm always doing for free. I just attach fee to things now, but you'll be able to get to me for free than a fee.
Right. Right. Like, yes, like I follow one of your pages, and it does have personality. You can see the profession, but you also see the person. I'm relatable in that because that's what I like. We probably won't stay there forever because the more you grow inside of your profession, the more hands you might need to help like navigate some of these business ventures. So like while it's hot and while you can get her close, you might want to because I do see what you're doing. You working, sis.
Thank
I
you.
see you over there. So like yeah, just quick as I know we've been on this for a while and I've been having a great
I
time.
didn't
Um
notice.
no, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's like um for us, it's two professionals showing vulnerability, empathizing with each other, coaching each other and like leaking it out while having conversation to help someone else. Like you said something very important that I think people don't understand inside of the social services human profession itself. When you have in person to person interaction, you have to have someone to emotionally dump on. So like whether you're a coach, a counselor, a therapist, mental health provider, social worker, psychiatrist, shrink, whichever level you are on, you do need someone that you need to console with and you need to vent, emotionally vent that out. Not breaking confidentiality or HIPAAs or anything, but just leaking out like, you guys shoot the gift. So a professional still needs a professional. A therapist still needs a therapist. So I'm glad that you have that. I too have my mentors and my people that I shoot the gift with, let it out. They give me some offers of suggestion or maybe a direction that I probably can try, like with their experiences or seasoned. I too mentor and I coach individuals. So it's like we all need it.
Yeah.
We all need it. And that's what we were doing here. This is what it looks like to be in a session, to give therapy, talk about the experiences, talk about how you cope. Like, what have you done to do the work? Like, what do you still need to work on? What is the strengths? What is the weaknesses? So you guys got to watch a session for free, like
This is
from
it.
professionals. So if you can, like, and I think it's very astonishing and intriguing to see is that like if someone's inquiring services from you, they can see that you can be empathetic and you are a person that's just not walking around in theory saying, hey, I've read a few books, became a scholar and wrote a book, and this is why you should follow me because I'm a coach.
Yeah.
You have the seasoned experience as far as what it looks like for people to relate and understand. And instead of you looking at it as like I'm a victim, look how bad this done to me. You did something with it, and I'm giving you your flowers on that, roses, daisies, all of that,
Thank you.
because for us, like coming up, because we the coming of age group, the millennials and shit. That like they thought that like we couldn't really keep it like we doing this. You know what I'm saying? And like yes, I know people feel like this next generation is a lost cause. I'm starting to realize that they're not because they're so advanced. It's just different times, just like it was different times before us. We are just in between gadgets and watching gadgets come, and now we're watching everything become utilized with technologies and shit. You know what I'm saying? So advanced. I think everything is where it's supposed to be. So if people want to jump inside of services with you, we're gonna wrap up in that way. Um, what we know what to expect from you, but what services do you provide?
So right now, if you want to book me as a speaker, you can definitely book me as a speaker. If you're looking for a coach, I have a 3 month program. 3 month program where you and I we it's called the Possibility Planning Sessions, where we really dive deep and we look at each area of your life. A lot of people don't realize that our lives is made up of 9 areas. Like we just look at life as one big thing. We have so many pieces that make up us. So we take time to dive deep into each of those areas and look at what they look like, rate them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we look at how we can create needlepoint move growth. A lot of times we want to look at the big goal. I want to get a car. I want to move out the country, or I want $1 million. And those are possible, but those are sexy, bodacious goals. So we want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that as we hold the big goal, we're also looking at the needlepoint moves, the micro goals, because every micro goal is getting you to the macro goal. So that's what we do.
Amen.
We work on getting you those needle point move growth in each area of your life so that you can have a quantum leap. Because I don't want you to just raise your finances. I want you to rise up holistically so that when you rise, everything that's meant for you will come and be attracted to you. So those are the two things that I
Amen.
offer. I can be on your stage or I could be your coach, either or. I love it. I'm here. And I also have a book. It is a journal from grief to grace. So if you are
Mm-hmm.
looking for some coaching, but you don't necessarily know what coaching looks like, feels like, for $27.98, you can grab a copy of From Grief to Grace. It's available on Amazon, and you will be able to look at that journal as a guide. It's not just pages. It's a guided guide, a guided journal that's going to help you navigate through your loss. So that is what I offer currently. I'm pretty sure by the time we talk again, I'm gonna have some more offers. But
Oh
right
yeah.
now, this is what I got, and I'm good with it. I'm building a lot of stuff,
Hey.
but this is how I'm serving, and it just feels so good because sometimes we think what we do is so little, but it's so big. Like
Mm-hmm.
the 3 months that people are with me, I look at them and they're totally different people. My alumni
Mm.
are movers and shakers. Like I'm looking at them like, dang, you're not the same
Get to
person
it.
that you was before.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because you said yes to you. So
Amen. Say yes to you.
yes, yes.
Keema, sister. It's been such a pleasure, and as someone's going to see the difference, we've touched on so many different areas, aspects as a professional, and then as a person. That this is what it's about, like healing, so you can help. With that being said, that concludes another episode of Let's Talk About It. Don't forget that you can tune in every week for new episodes on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Camcast, Amazon, and all surrounding platforms that support
He
podcasts.
said he
Don't
everywhere,
forget,
y'all.
yeah, and don't forget that you can catch shorts on all social media platforms that will be left down below. I'm gonna make sure that Kima's social media handles and the book is gonna be down inside the handles as well, so you can contact and you can follow her if you want to inquire about services or you just want to follow her journey. And she will be back. We'll definitely get her back on, and we'll get to explore about other areas of the profession and what that looks like. So, with that being said. Love y'all. Miss y'all. Peace.